Welcome to the all-new Hoop Nova, your ultimate source for everything basketball.
With the 11th pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Yaxel Linderborg.
By the Knicks, traded to LA. Yaxel Linderborg. Linderborg hits another three. 3 for 3 from downtown from the number 11 overall pick. He's got 9. Yaxel Linderborg. He's 4 for 4.
The Warriors Summer League statement: Golden State Warriors just won the 2026 NBA Summer League Championship, going 5-1 throughout the tournament and capturing their first Summer League title since 2013. They completed the run with a dramatic 10-point fourth quarter comeback against the Memphis Grizzlies, winning 90-90. At the center of it all was Yaxel Linderborg, the 11th overall pick and championship game MVP, who delivered 21 points and 10 rebounds while scoring 7 of Golden State's final 10 points. What makes this more interesting is that Linderborg was already a national champion at Michigan before even putting on a Warriors jersey. Just a few months ago, Golden State looked like a team heading toward the end of its era. They finished 37-45, missed the playoffs, survived the play-in against the Clippers, and then were eliminated by Phoenix. Stephen Curry was entering another late stage of his career. Jimmy Butler was recovering from a torn ACL. Draymond Green was aging, and the roster was loaded with expensive veteran contracts. Golden State had more than $181 million committed to 9 players before free agency even began, leaving very little flexibility and barely any valuable first-round picks available. For most teams, that situation would signal the beginning of a rebuild. But the Warriors made it clear they had no interest in starting over while Curry remained capable of carrying a championship-level offense. Steve Kerr returned with an extension, and the front office chose to keep competing rather than begin a long rebuild. The challenge was obvious. Maintaining the veteran core was one thing, but finding a new piece capable of changing the team's future was another. That is where Linderborg suddenly became important. The 6'9" forward began his college career at Arizona Western before becoming an elite defensive player at UAB, where he earned 2 AC Defensive Player of the Year awards. After transferring to Michigan, he helped the Wolverines win a national championship and finished his senior season averaging around 15 points, 7 rebounds, more than a block, and over a steal per game. Golden State selected him 11th overall, and the reaction was immediately divided. Supporters viewed him as a mature, NBA-ready forward who could contribute immediately on a team that cannot afford to wait years for development. Critics questioned whether he had enough offensive upside and wondered if his position made him more of a tweener than a future star. Summer League does not guarantee NBA success, but Linderborg's performance has given the Warriors something they desperately needed: optimism. The championship does not erase the questions surrounding Curry, Butler, Green, the salary cap, or the Western Conference. But if Linderborg can translate this confidence, defense, toughness, and composure into the regular season, Golden State may have found a rookie capable of extending its competitive window. The Warriors may not be back at the top yet, but after months of uncertainty, they finally have something the rest of the West has to pay attention to. Why the Warriors suddenly look dangerous? Warriors reached the same point they once reached with Draymond Green in 2012. When people questioned whether another young prospect could actually become an important part of Steve Kerr's system. Then Vegas happened, and Yaxel Linderborg completely changed the conversation. Golden State went 5-1 throughout Summer League, with players like Davin Smith and LJ Cryer making big contributions. But whenever you watch the tape, Linderborg kept standing out. He averaged around 13 points and more than 6 rebounds while handling secondary playmaking responsibilities, defending multiple positions, running the floor, and shooting well enough from 3 to force defenders to respect him. Then came the championship game. Golden State entered the fourth quarter down 10 against Cam Boozer and the Memphis Grizzlies, a team that looked bigger and more athletic on paper. Linderborg responded by taking over the closing minutes, scoring 7 of Golden State's final 10 points and knocking down 2 huge baskets during the comeback. He finished with 21 points and 10 rebounds and walked away with the championship game MVP award. That is a completely different impression than a rookie simply trying to survive Summer League. Linderborg looked comfortable when the pressure increased, and that matters because his skill set fits almost perfectly with what Golden State has been missing. He can create secondary offense, rebound, defend multiple positions, move without the ball, set screens, make smart passes, and knock down open shots without demanding constant touches. In other words, he looks like the type of connector piece Steve Kerr has been searching for alongside Stephen Curry for several seasons. The Warriors have struggled to find a forward who can switch defensively, space the floor, keep the ball moving, and make winning plays without needing the offense built around him. Linderborg could potentially become that player, and if what we saw in July carries into the regular season. Imagine what happens when Curry is drawing 2 or 3 defenders on every possession, and Linderborg gets open opportunities created by that. Gravity, but the rookie's importance cannot be separated from the roster around him. Golden State is entering the season with a veteran core that still has plenty of talent. Stephen Curry, now 38, remains the engine of the franchise and one of the league's most dangerous shooters. He continues to bend defenses simply by stepping across half court, and his presence gives every young player around him easier opportunities. Then there is Jimmy Butler, whose expiring $56.8 million contract gives Golden State another major piece once he is fully healthy. Butler remains one of the league's toughest two-way wings and has historically elevated his game when the postseason arrives. If he can return from injury without losing his explosiveness, he gives the Warriors the secondary creator they have desperately needed. Then comes Draymond Green. Even at 36, Green remains the defensive quarterback, a versatile switch defender, an elite passer, and one of the players who understands exactly how Kerr wants this offense to function. Put Curry, Butler, Green, and a potentially legitimate young forward like Linderborg together, and suddenly Golden State has a much more interesting formula. The Summer League Championship does not guarantee anything, and the Warriors still have major questions to answer. But for the first time in a while, their future does not look completely dependent on their aging stars. They may have finally found a young piece capable of helping them compete now while also giving the franchise something to build around later. The Warriors' biggest problem: Warriors' front court suddenly looks much deeper. Kristaps Porzingis re-signed on a 2-year, $40 million deal, giving Golden State a stretch 5 who can protect the rim, face the floor, and create major problems in pick-and-roll actions with Curry. The concern is obviously his availability, but when he is healthy, the fit is frightening. Al Horford also returned on a 2-year deal worth around $14 million, bringing veteran leadership, reliable shooting, smart screening, and years of playoff experience. Behind them, Golden State finally has a young supporting cast with real NBA experience. Brandon Podziemski is entering another important season as a secondary creator. Moses Moody continues developing into a reliable two-way wing, and players like Guy Santos and Will Richard are becoming more comfortable within Kerr's system. If everyone is healthy, the Warriors could have a closing lineup featuring Curry, Butler, Podziemski, Draymond, and Porzingis or Horford, with Linderborg available as a versatile swing piece who can defend multiple positions and space the floor. On paper, that looks dangerous. But there is one massive problem: age. Curry is 38, Draymond is 36, Horford is 40, and Butler is 36 while returning from a torn ACL. That is an incredibly talented group. But it is also a roster where durability could determine everything. Curry has dealt with injuries in recent seasons, Draymond's workload has been managed carefully, and Horford is no longer someone you can expect to play huge minutes every night. Butler's recovery is another major variable. Then there is Porzingis, who played only 32 games last season. If multiple veterans miss significant time, the Warriors could quickly lose their advantage. The financial situation makes the problem even bigger. Golden State has limited flexibility, very little valuable draft capital, and Butler's expiring contract is one of the few major trade assets available. So if injuries hit at the wrong time, fixing the roster at the trade deadline could be extremely difficult. The Warriors have talent, but staying healthy may be the difference between a playoff run and another disappointing season. The Warriors are back. Warriors have one major problem: if something goes wrong, they have very few ways to fix it. An injury, a bad fit, or a prolonged slump could leave the front office without enough draft capital or trade assets to make a major deadline move. Then there is the Yaxel Linderborg question. Summer League success does not always translate to the NBA, and history is full of players who dominated in July before struggling to earn meaningful minutes during the regular season. But Linderborg does not need to become a superstar immediately. He simply needs to become a reliable connector who can defend, rebound, pass, and hit open shots when the playoffs arrive. Based on what he showed in Vegas, that possibility looks realistic. The bigger question is whether Golden State can stay healthy in an increasingly brutal Western Conference. Oklahoma City remains a powerhouse. San Antonio has Victor Wembanyama. Houston is loaded with young talent. Denver still has Nikola Jokic. Minnesota has Anthony Edwards. And the Lakers have built around Luka Doncic. Nobody is waiting for the Warriors. But that is exactly why this roster could be dangerous. Curry does not need to dominate all 82 games. He needs to be healthy when May arrives. Butler does not have to be at his absolute peak to remain a major two-way weapon. Draymond, Porzingis, and Horford simply need to stay available enough to support the stars. If Golden State gets even average health, this is a team contenders may desperately want to avoid in a playoff series. For 2 years, the Warriors looked like an aging team approaching the end. Now they have Curry, Butler, Draymond, Porzingis, Horford, a developing young core, and a rookie who just won a Summer League MVP. They are not simply trying to survive anymore. The Warriors may already be back.